Happy Monday and welcome to Casting the Net, Reeling in Holistic Health, where we care about your health and well-being. This is Coach Rice, your mental health life coach. And I just want to let you know to tune in every Monday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. I will be showing up on YouTube, my personal Facebook page, my business Facebook page, the Be Awesome Network. Super excited about posting my podcast on there every Monday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. After the interview is completed, you would be featured on Apple, Spotify, LinkedIn. Those are the platforms that you will be seen on. So stay tuned and don't forget, please share and subscribe and listen and comment and tune in to my next guest. Check it out. It's about to happen. Stay tuned and I'll be with you in a moment.
Welcome to Mondays with Coach Rice. It's a brand new week. The sun's shining bright. A chance to cast your net. Step into the light. Life's full of challenges. It's a winding stream. But with Coach Rice, you'll find your dream.
Happy Monday and welcome to Casting the Net, Reeling in Holistic Health. You are on with Coach Rice, your mental health life coach. So I am super excited to introduce Brenna Squires. She is a clinical psychologist and couples fertility coach. I have not had no one in this niche come on, so I'm super excited to introduce you guys to her. So Dr. Brenna, tell us, where you from and how did you embark upon this journey?
Yes, so thank you so much. I'm excited to be here and I'm excited to share my story with your audience. I'm originally from Miami, Florida, but I live in Tampa, Florida. And
Okay.
I embarked on this specific niche of helping clients specifically because I have this experience. I have experienced infertility for 7 years, and I found it to be very overwhelming in the beginning, very lonely, very frustrating and discouraging. And I honestly didn't know what to do. And trying to reach out to other people, nobody else knew what I was going through, and no one knew how to help. And so I really felt like I was navigating that journey alone. And even when I tried to find support groups, nothing really seemed to fit where I was. And so I didn't really find them helpful. And so I started doing my own research. I started researching with my husband different things that we could do together, things that we could do to help our overall fertility. And that really got the ball rolling with learning more about fertility, learning more about our options, and learning more about how to navigate this journey with more peace and more joy and more confidence. And that really led me to be able to help other people who are navigating this journey. Because the more I started doing it for myself and started speaking with other couples, the more I realized they needed this too. They didn't have it. And so I wanted to be that person that I wish I had early on in my journey.
Awesome. And we all operate in the field, in our fields, we operate out of that need that we didn't receive. And we said, oh, this is a need.
Yeah.
And so tell us, how do fertility struggles uniquely impact mental health compared to other stressors?
Yeah, so struggling with fertility impacts so many different areas. It impacts your mental health mostly because this is something that you didn't really think would happen to you. That's really the big thing that I hear from a lot of men and a lot of women. You don't think this is going to happen to you. So you have this story that you have about your future family, about your future life, and this organized plan that you think is going to work out. And when this plan that you have doesn't work out, your world is shattered. Your perceived world is shattered because you don't know what to do next. You thought you had a plan and now this plan doesn't work. So typically you go to plan B and then plan B doesn't work. You go to plan C doesn't work. And with infertility, it means that you've been trying to have a baby for over a year and you're not successful in either conceiving or carrying a baby to full term. And so if you can imagine someone who is going through plan A, B, C, however many plans they have for over a year and it doesn't work, it really breaks down the idea of what does this mean for me now? Because I had this plan and the plan is no longer working. And so they start to doubt who they are, their future, their relationships. Some people even start to doubt God and their faith. There's a lot of doubt that comes up. And then there's also a lot of grief. There's grief of what they thought would happen.
Yes.
There's grief of what's going on in their current situation. And sometimes there's even frustration and grief that they're even feeling that grief. It's kind of this weird catch-22 where you're feeling overwhelmed and sad and anxious and experiencing grief, but at the same time, everybody around you is saying you're fine and almost gaslighting you into thinking there's not a big deal. And so then that adds more stress and
Mhm.
anxiety. And so there's so much. I know I just opened a can of worms here with the
No, I love
anxiety
it. I
that
love
people
it. I love
feel,
it.
the depression, the grief. There's just so much that people don't really know that when they see somebody, and they say, "Oh, you're gonna be fine,"
They
you're
don't
really
know
just
it.
poking
They
at the
actually
tornado that's about to explode.
right. Sometimes we don't. People don't know what to say. So tell the audience, like, what do you do when you run across someone who's struggling in an area? How do you encourage them and what not to say?
Yeah, so if you keep in mind what I just said with like all of these things that
Hmm.
people are feeling, they don't often show it. So they're trying to hold it all together and they're trying to present themselves as okay
Okay.
most of the time. And so you think they're fine, but just keep in mind that there's a lot going under the surface. And so just being mindful of what you say and how you say it. Make sure that you're kind. I know these things sound basic, but being kind and empathetic. Empathetic to what they're experiencing. They're experiencing a lot. And so telling somebody you're fine isn't helpful. Telling somebody, stop stressing, it'll happen when it happens, and telling somebody, if it's God's will, it'll happen. None of those
Yeah,
things
that's a
are
tough one.
helpful. So think the opposite. Think the opposite of those different things. So one of my favorite things that I encourage other people to say to someone who's going through this journey and that I enjoy when someone says to me is, I'm sorry that you're going through this. I can't imagine how much you're going through, or I can't imagine what you're going through. How can I help you? How can I support you in this journey? Now, if you have gone through this journey, you can share a little bit about what you experienced, but also know that even if you experienced infertility and you had a journey, it is not the same as the person you're speaking with. Everybody's journey is different. And so you can relate on a level of understanding that you understand the overwhelming emotions and the different
Mhm.
emotions, but still follow up with how are you doing? Tell me more about your journey and how I can help. And really just being
Right.
in that space of listening and support.
And I think that's what a lot of, especially when you're dealing with grief, it's very uncomfortable for the
Yeah.
other person. And so
Yeah.
I think acknowledging that it is uncomfortable sometimes and really
Yeah.
saying and really pushing it back on the need of the person
Yes,
is so helpful. Um, what
it
are the
is.
like silent emotional battles that couples go through when they're when it during the infertility
Yeah.
stages that that are often misunderstood or overlooked.
Yeah. One common struggle is that they may not be on the same page and they don't really know what to do about it. So some couples may not be on the same page and they may not be talking to each other about it. They may be talking to other people about it, or they may not be talking about it at all. So there's this underlying tension. And so one common one that I've seen is that one might want to do IVF, another one might not want to do IVF, or one person might want to do it multiple times, whereas the other one doesn't want to do it multiple times and they have
Right. I
their
can see that.
reasons, but because they don't share those reasons, or maybe they share the reasons, but they don't respect the other person's reasons, that's where you start to see a lot of issues. And another big issue is bringing other people in instead of talking to one another.
Yeah.
They will speak, they will share with their friends or family and not really share with their spouse. And then they'll get very upset that their spouse doesn't understand when in fact they didn't tell them.
Right.
They're telling other people. And so bringing other
Right.
people into arguments, it's not helpful. And then
It's
the third thing
always
I
the
kind of want to
worst.
bring in is what we were just talking about with is grief is different. And everybody grieves at a different pace, and everyone
Hmm.
grieves in different ways. And so a man who is going through infertility or is going through the journey with their wife, whether it's them or their wife, they may present differently than the wife. One person may be very emotional, one person may shut the emotions off. And it's not that they're not grieving, it's just that's their way of grieving and trying to understand that and still be empathetic.
Yeah. It is interesting how you right when you're not aligned, that's when the couple is not aligned, that's one of the root causes to a bad, bad road to go down.
Yeah, I think
Because
it's the root cause to almost all couple problems.
yeah, definitely. That's
When
one of
you're
my
not aligned and you're not in
when you're not,
unity, you're trying to
how can two
operate,
walk unless they agree, right?
right? You're trying to operate as one, but as two, which
Right,
doesn't make any
exactly.
sense.
And then the triangulation is horrible, right?
Yeah,
And it doesn't ease the anxiety, actually make it worse because you're not
it
talking to the
does.
person who you need to talk to, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely making things worse and adds more
Mhm.
frustration. It adds more loneliness and isolation, which then increases the depression and the grief when you feel like you're
Yes.
doing it all by yourself.
Yeah, because that kind of falls under the line of trauma when you
Yeah.
constantly going through the loss all the time.
Yeah.
So
That's
when
actually,
you, oh, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say that's actually something that's not often discussed, that there is a type of post-traumatic stress that goes on with
Mhm.
infertility because it is the trauma of not having a successful pregnancy every single month or not carrying a baby to full term. And the longer you're going through this, these little mini traumas add up to the whole
Yeah,
journey,
because you
sometimes
go from
becoming overwhelming.
hope
Yeah,
to despair, right? And
it's
so
quick
when
too.
you, I know, right? And when you're dealing with clients that are going through couples and clients that are going through this, do you ever have some that just don't get what they want at all? And if they do, if it comes to that point where they just it's just not going to happen. Do you ever have that? And if so, what do you do? How do you move them forward?
Do you mean when they don't get what they want, like they don't get a baby?
Right.
And so that's something to kind of communicate with. What is your fertility goal? What are you trying to get at? Are you trying to have a baby naturally? Are you trying to have a baby in general? Are you open to adoption or surrogacy? And that goes through that idea of how do you want to achieve this, so to speak? How do you want that? And if you don't get that, what does that mean? And so I think the importance is making peace with the decision. So if you say, I only want it naturally and I don't want it other ways, okay. So before we get to that place, like you said, what happens if they don't get it? Are you able to make peace with if it doesn't work out? And then that's usually
Yes.
where we go a little bit deeper. Can you make peace with the not getting something? And then some people are able to make peace, and then some people who aren't will switch and say, okay, well, I can't make peace with that, so I think I'll go to surrogacy or I think I'll go to adoption. It's all about making peace with best case scenario and worst
Right.
case scenario.
Because the end goal is that you really want a baby, right? And there's so many ways to do it. Are you
Yeah,
willing to go? Are you willing to do whatever you need to do to get the end goal, right? I
yeah.
like how you put that because you have to find that out first before even moving forward because you don't want to step out and then look up and you never discussed it, right?
Yeah, and then with that too, if we take a step back, the end goal is having family. And
Right.
one thing that I try to reinforce to couples is you are a family as a couple. So we want to prioritize your relationship. We don't want um, you to go so full force into this journey that you destroy your relationship in before you grow it.
Yeah, because that can happen. You're so
It's
focused on
happened
this
many
one thing
times.
that you lose yourself and you lose the whole essence of being a couple. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually shown that I think it's 2 to 3 times more likely for separation or divorce for couples who
Hmm.
have fertility challenges because of how hard that journey is. And if you're not united and you're not working to strengthen your relationship and you're only focused on that step, the baby, and you're skipping the foundation, some people will
Yeah.
get to the baby but then lose the foundation, and so then everything still crumbles.
What do you find that the differences between how women perceive the loss or the disappointment than how the men perceive the loss or disappointment? What differences do you see?
There's many differences. There's differences in if there is a identified cause. So if we can identify that the cause is male or female infertility. So if it's male fertility, that's the primary reason for it. They take it really hard because now it's stripping them of their ability to procreate. And so
They
that's a really big
manhood,
thing for
so to
them.
speak, right?
Yeah. And if it's for female, then that's different. They take the loss as well. So we have that respect of who the primary cause is. And sometimes it's unknown, so it's like a 50-50. And also with women, you see the cycles change every single day. So you're living it every single day.
Mm,
And so you take it at a different, you feel it differently because you see the cervical mucus, you see the period
mhm.
coming, you feel the cramps, you feel all of that. And so you have this different type of grief because now you can feel it and experience it. But if you think about it on the flip side, the man is perceiving it from the outside. So if you're not sharing, if the woman is not sharing what they're experiencing, he feels like an outsider and he doesn't know. So it's almost this I don't know what's going on until you tell me, and I can't do anything about it. And so it's this helplessness side of grief where he can't do anything. And so it's really different, but I don't want to take away uh anybody's grief because it's still deep,
Right.
but it's just different. And I think that helps us give a deeper level of empathy towards our spouse when we know that they're going through something too. We just might not understand. And that's why it's so important to work on communication, work on sharing the
Mhm.
symptoms, work on sharing your feelings, work on sharing where you are. And that will bring you closer together, closer than you ever thought you could be if you're able to navigate this journey together.
Yeah, because the goal is to keep them emotionally connected
Yes.
so that the relation it's like almost like we're going through this together, this
Yes.
journey together versus the demise of it, right?
It absolutely, and I think that's one of the problems with traditional medicine and some just different types of medicine sometimes is they'll focus only on the woman. They'll give the man one test and say you're good or you're okay or you're not that bad and put him to the side and then give her tons of tests, making it seem like she is the priority. And while yes, she is caring, everything is 50-50 up until the point baby
Right,
is in the belly. So there needs to be this shift in that it's our fertility, it's our baby. Yes, you are holding it, but I need to do my part to make sure that the environment is good. And so, like
right.
you said, doing this together is so important.
Wow. And so when you were going through what you were going through, there were pieces that were missing that caused you to come into to do what you do because you went from you did you start off as a clinical psychologist
Mhm.
and then ended up in this? And
Yeah.
so with that, what are some of the things that you really needed on that journey that you didn't have that you actually provide?
So, a good question. Yeah, so I started off as a clinical psychologist and then I think that's part of why I thought it was going to be easy. Like I already know these things. It's going to be easy and I'm going to be able to start it. And my journey started quick and I was super hopeful. And once I realized it wasn't working, I shifted into problem solving mode. But what I didn't realize in the beginning that I know now is that there are so many more options out there than we are told. We're
Mm,
really in the doctor's office, you're told of a handful of options. And so you heavily research those handful of options and you think, well, what should I do with these three things? Which one should I pick? And then you get very overwhelmed and stressed. But what I've learned, and one thing that I help couples do is let's open the door. There are so many options out there that don't cost tons of money, that are not invasive, that'll help you improve your health, that will get to the root cause of the problem. There are so many options out there that let's tailor it to you. And at the same time, let's make sure that you're working together as a couple. And so with that, I learned that you need to explore all of the options and fit something that's right for you. I also realized I needed my husband in as much as possible. And so
mhm.
ordering him tests that I had to order, or we worked with other practitioners to have him do as many tests as possible, and then also strengthen your support system. We would like to think that everybody is supportive, but everybody doesn't even know what you're going through. They can't relate, they can't understand. And so if we toss aside the people that are just generally not supportive, let's look at the people who we think would be kind and encouraging and they don't understand, they may not say the right things, they may not do the right things, and you might just feel worse. And so cultivating the right team around you, the right
Mhm.
support people that will help you and your spouse and help you navigate in the direction that you want is so important. So really prioritizing those couple of things with navigating the journey that you want, strengthening your relationship, and then getting the right support team, because all of those will help your mental health. And
Oh,
once you
yes,
know that
absolutely.
you can do something about it externally, but you can also do something internally is so empowering. It's so empowering, and
Yes.
that's what I want to be able to help with other couples too.
Oh, thank you so much. I love how you put it all together and you look at it systemically because a lot
Yeah,
of times we don't look at things like that. We just focus on that one person and not think about all the connections that
yeah.
goes with that, you know. And we just focus sometimes it's just the focus is on infertility, but it's so big, so much bigger than that.
It is. One big thing that I learned with that was not shared with me early on is that fertility is a sign of health. And
Mm,
if you don't have a consistent cycle and it's regular and you have painful periods and you have irritability and PMS and PCOS and endometriosis, that means there's something going on in your body. And if the doctor hasn't figured it out yet, that means you need to go to another doctor or do another test because there's something deep going on that needs to be uncovered. And so it's really a health issue. And so
oh
deep
wow.
going on, we need to uncover, and that will help boost your health. Then your health gets improved, your fertility gets improved, you notice your mood is improved, and all of it, it's kind of like a trickle down effect because your
Right.
body will prioritize you and your health over reproduction. And so that's
Right.
kind of what's stopping most people from getting and holding on to a pregnancy is their body is saying, "Oh no, I'm prioritizing you. I want to keep you alive. We don't have time or energy for that right now."
I'm so glad you said that because sometimes people don't know
Yeah.
that how, unique and intricate that the body is made and how it protects us from
Yeah.
all sorts of diseases, all sorts of infections, all sorts of things happening, and it does
Yeah.
prioritize us. And
Yeah.
and I like that you said that because sometimes they can think it's totally like it's personal, or they can think
Yeah.
that, oh, I'm less than a woman, or
Yeah.
and that's horrible. The
It
way you
is.
think about it is horrible, and how you're gonna move in it. And it's gonna bring more
Yeah.
stress and it's gonna make it harder for you to conceive.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's actually one of the things that I had to challenge myself on my own journey like a couple of years ago of battling the idea that my body is working against me. Why are you doing this to me? why would you do this to me if you know this is what you're supposed to do? And so I constantly felt like that until I learned that my body is not working against me. My body is working for me. It's just we have different goals.
Right.
My goal is push through, suck it up, and make a baby. And my body says, no, my body is you, then baby.
Right.
And I think that's the problem
That's
with
so interesting.
most of us. We think that we think what is wrong with us, and that's what we actually really have to figure out. I think that was the aha moment that I had was I kept on saying, "What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me?" until I shifted the way I said it to, "Okay, what's wrong with me? Like really, what's wrong with me? Something's wrong." And it wasn't until I made that actual
Right.
shift that I started to look at it differently.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that. I kid you not. I think that's a powerful um, aha moment
Mhm.
that can
Yeah,
help a whole lot of women understand
yeah.
and get to the root cause of what's going on with your body before you go forward
Yeah.
and all the stress that your body is talking to you
It is.
and we have to listen to it.
We do. We really do. It's sometimes hard when we're feeling the grief and the anxiety and the depression because that can be so loud that we
Yes.
will tone down anything else and we'll say, I'm sorry you're having pain, but I'm anxious right now, or I'm sorry that you're feeling irritable, but I don't have time for that. And I think when we really
Right.
start to sit in and understand, okay, what are you actually trying to tell me? And what can I do about that?
Right.
That's when we start to
Well,
see progress.
exactly. And I'm so glad that, that you sharing this with the audience and so grateful. So what is your onboarding process on taking on clients?
Yeah, so I will meet with them for a consult just to see where they're at and what they would like to accomplish. Because with the way that I do things, I want to be able to help you navigate the challenges that you're going through. So every couple is a little bit different because not everybody is going through the exact same challenges. And so I want to be able to know what your challenges are and how I could be able to help you navigate through that. The biggest ones are usually what are my options and how can I work through those and how can I figure things out with my spouse. So help us work on that together. But the steps are making an appointment just to have a strategy call where we talk together. And then from there, we will determine what is best. Maybe it is the coaching program, the couples coaching program. Or perhaps if you're in a place where you're feeling that intense grief and that intense anxiety and depression, we might shift you to start counseling first because I am a licensed clinical psychologist. And so I can work on the counseling portion of it to be able to help you move through the grief, move through the anxiety, move through the feeling of overwhelm to be more receptive to that coaching piece because sometimes it's frustrating to be able to give them this to have this goal in front of you when you're feeling
Right.
too overwhelmed. You can't get there yet. And so we need to take away this cloud in front of you, settle your nervous system, settle your mind, settle your body. And then sometimes that does it by itself and you're able to
Right.
and they're able to get pregnant. And sometimes it's just settling themselves to be able to say, what are my next steps?
Hmm. That's awesome. So what do you if you had, one thing that you want to share with the audience as far as like anything that I may not have approached it or talked about it or asked the question, what is it what else do you want the audience to know about you?
Yes, and so I'm here to support you in any way that you need. I have a podcast called the Empowered Fertility Podcast where I interview different types of health professionals that I've connected with and that currently meeting to be able to give you that information, to be able to help you identify the barriers for yourself. What barriers are you experiencing that are blocking your fertility? And what are some resources that you can be able to do right now on your own to be able to help you improve your health and your fertility. And so I have that Empowered Fertility podcast. I also have an Empowered Fertility community where we break that down even further, those resources down even further. I have tons of free resources on my website, Encourage and Empower Wellness. And then again, the counseling and couples coaching, helping you navigate through those most difficult and the most challenging parts of fertility. You don't have to do this alone. I want to encourage you, if it's not me, go find somebody else. Don't do this journey alone because you don't have to.
Well, thank you so much for sharing with the audience. And I would definitely put the links in the video of how to contact you and reach you. And so thank you so much. And to the audience, if you know someone who is going through this, do share this video so they can reach out and get the help that they need. Is you don't want to, like she said, you do not want to take on this journey alone. And you're not alone unless you choose to be alone. So do share, do subscribe to my channel because I always have amazing people on. So I just want to say thank you for listening and thank you so much for sharing with us today and just have a happy Monday. And we are signing off.
We'll heal every heart, so join us now. Let's make life suffice. Welcome to Mondays with Coach Rice.